Okay, we're live.
Alrighty. Good evening, folks. Happy June. Um, happy possible freedom coming soon. That would be great.
Fingers crossed.
Yeah, really. It's June 8th, it's Tuesday. So thus, I would like to call this meeting to order. Next is the agenda. Before we approve the agenda, I would like to see if there could be a motion made to add a closed session. We can add it wherever. We can add it at the end if we want.
Sure, I will raise it to add a closed session to today's meeting.
Awesome. Motion made by Belinda. Can I get someone to second that?
I'll second.
Seconded by Karen. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you. That being said, also we'll get, since that's going to be added, can we get a motion to approve the agenda then? Motion was made by Pearl, seconded by Tracy. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. 3, any declarations of interest? None I see. 4, delegations, presentations. Do we have any delegations, presentations? I don't think so, do we? Nope, none. 5, minutes from the previous meeting. Again, they've been emailed out. We can get a motion to approve the previous minutes.
I'll motion to approve.
Motion made by Karen, second by Tracy. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. We'll jump right into the agenda items. I apologize for the long list of agenda items. Just kind of a whole bunch of stuff kind of came out at once and just said the heck with it, let's run with it and see what we can get out of it. 6-1, promotion ideas. Obviously, I threw it in because of things possibly starting back up. So if anybody has any ideas, I know Belinda discussed one with me briefly. You want to elaborate on that one, Belinda, if you remember it?
No, absolutely. So I was thinking really what we want to do is generate interest and volume of people coming down to the downtown core. And I think some of the Town of Prescott swag that we were provided is really amazing. So I was kind of thinking if we could do like a Town of Prescott BIA Chamber joint event, because we do those things really well. And you know, I have a kid, so I'm familiar with Where's Waldo, but I was kind of thinking like if we could take pictures of us like in those amazing hoodies in different locations and different businesses, and kind of think about how that would work, like post it on Facebook. If you kind of show up here, you might be able to get some Prescott dollars or something like that, like just generate some buzz and generate some volume coming into the downtown core, people actually getting out. It was just an idea I had. And I know I was talking to Bonnie about it. The chamber thinks it's a great idea. What do you guys think?
Dana?
Love this. This actually ties in perfectly with what we're thinking, Belinda. Your mention of the Prescott dollars is kind of where I'm headed. So we had a really good conversation with Matthew today. I'm not sure if you're aware, because we really didn't do it so much with like the financial institutions, but really focus the dollars on the retails, the like really consumer product and service businesses. So twice last year, as part of the COVID support, we actually gave businesses, we handed out 2 rounds of dollars. One was 10,000 and the second was 5,000. And we gave those dollars directly to businesses throughout the community to give out to customers who are making a purchase that they could then in turn spend at, you know, a future purchase. So, you know, maybe we could incorporate, and we're totally on board with the town is prepared to fund basically another round of these dollars.
Excellent.
We gave them out as part of a scavenger hunt program, you know, something a little bit more, you know,
Yeah, a little bit more fun. People like we want to try and bring people in. We want there to be a social media buzz.
And this really gets people into specific areas, right? Versus just giving them
Exactly.
out to all the businesses.
There you go.
And there's a bit of a call to action too, right? People have to put a bit of work in for the dollars and really engage for them versus just
Exactly.
having to, buy something and
Wander
maybe
in, right?
getting some. Yeah.
Yeah.
Tracy?
I was just gonna say somehow we could tie that all in with each opening. So like this Friday, there's opening of, XYZ, another opening, there's opening of this, and then put ourselves where those openings are.
Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
then really, really highlight that as well.
And the thing we found with our last initiative is it doesn't take a lot of effort on our part. Like Justin takes amazing pictures, right? So if we can just utilize the resources that we have that don't, because we're all busy, it doesn't take a lot of time. It's a couple pictures here and there. We move it on to the business owner and generate some buzz. Looks a little bit sexy. It's not too expensive. It's easy to roll out.
Yeah, I love it. We're definitely prepared to support it with dollars.
Okay.
No, I like it too.
Just kind of come up with the details of like how it would actually work, right? What the what the public has to do to get their dollars rewarded, whether it be guessing where the actual pitcher is and winning dollars that way. Like if they're able to guess what business the image is being shown in. We did that as part of one of the Christmas giveaways where we'd show a very close in shot of something, either a product or a place in a business that you wouldn't be able to identify unless you had actually shopped in that business. And that was really successful. We had a huge response to that. People throwing out guesses and we were rewarding people with dollars. It was all managed through our social media account. So you could take that approach, or you could have it be more of like an actual in-person thing where people had to go and actually show up at that place of business and, either say, I'm here to collect my dollars as part of whatever promotion it is they need to identify.
I like that idea, like where they have to actually go to the business and then that forces them to go downtown into the store. And
Exactly.
Yeah, that's more what I was thinking, that you have to actually get off your couch
yes,
and go downtown and actually interact with people, go into the store.
Yeah. And you could, like,
Or
as
the
part of
business.
that, just be a freebie, or you could actually have, require people to make a small purchase to get dollars. It's just those kind of details that.
Yeah, I hadn't quite gotten into the intricacies yet. I just wanted to kind of see what everyone thought about the concept.
I like it.
Same here.
Me too.
Not everybody likes the idea. So that if we want to involve, like it was Belinda said, if we do want to involve chambers, should we perhaps have some sort of separate working group to kind of deal with this?
Well, I can kind of be the liaison back and forth. And I will bring Bonnie in if that's okay with you guys. Whatever you guys want to do. Just because I can work back and forth with the chamber. I just think that it's good.
It's just a matter of putting together the fine details and stuff like that. And everybody's frozen. Look at that. That's pretty neat.
And that's the only reason I was kind of pushing for that. If we are looking to launch this Friday, then we got to get this thing hammered out quick, right?
Quick. Yep. And I mean, I can take care of things from the chamber perspective.
And I'm sure even like if you gave, I'm sure Justin, the wheels are probably turning in your head I'm sure you've probably got lots of ideas, thoughts on this. Maybe we could just coordinate through email, like you suggested, Kevin. Maybe a smaller group would work best, and we can just kind of bat ideas around that way and nail the details down.
Okay. Yeah, that's yeah. You were going to say something, Justin. I know you were going to say something.
No, I think that's probably the way to go. If maybe there was a couple of you that wanted to get on an email chain and we can figure this out. I have a couple ideas, whether they incorporate business owners, or perhaps we could have one of the hoodies in different spots and just take a photo, say,
Exactly.
just
Hoodie.
sitting, yeah, just have it sitting there. And, you know, the first 3 people that visit this spot will receive $20 or $10 or whatever it is. And it should be pretty quick and easy to do that. We'll just have to contact some of the downtown businesses and see who wants to participate, and could take the pictures prior to Friday, obviously, and have it ready to go out then.
That's zippy.
And we could get, you know, just a few done and then kind of build it up over the next couple
Yeah,
of weeks.
for sure.
Exactly. Like,
Mhm.
and this is something we could keep doing on, like, it doesn't have to be all the time, but we could just like kind of do an intermittent thing, you know, like here's a hoodie, or, you know, here's
Mhm.
someone with a hoodie. Like, I just thought it was something that we could do that would be fun and we could do on a prolonged basis.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah.
you said, the focus for this could be retailers and patios, right? And
Yeah.
then as more of the personal
Reopening.
service businesses, you know, but then we could focus on that sector.
Yeah.
Do a
Insurance,
step-
financial services,
Yeah.
some of our members sitting around the table.
Just thinking, like the
I
girls
think-
splits and whatnot, they're still going to be a while, are they not? Until they can open.
That's what yeah, like the
I
personal
think
care
it's the
services.
yeah, I think it's the second.
Yeah.
Second.
Yeah,
Even
so if we
dining, I
maybe
think
do
it's gonna be
something
a
with a
while.
step 1, step 2, step 3 promo
Mhm.
and target the ones that are permitted to open on those steps, to do the hoodie in each one, to get them to see where it is and to let them know.
I
Yeah, and
think-
it also lets people know what's opening,
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
right? Like, this place is open now. This, you know, please come see us.
And
And
we
I-
have quite a bit, like there's a $10,000 to $15,000 that's been allocated for this, I believe. Hold on a sec, I want to check that email first before I speak out of turn. Yes, 10 to 15. So, you know, you could be doing significant prizes. You know, I'd suggest even maybe like a $50, something bigger.
Can I
And then
interrupt
you
for a
could look
quick
at other
second?
options too, right? We don't necessarily have to use the full, but this would be a great way to really start getting those dollars out there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Can I interrupt for a quick second? Brett says he does not have the link. I just got a message from him. Unless he didn't see Karen's email.
He must not have. Oh no, and here's an email from him. So he's requesting in the future that we send them out as calendar invites. I think maybe that's the issue because he's having to go back into past emails and find the link.
Okay.
So we'll definitely do that. Justin and myself will look after sending out just a scheduled kind of calendar invite for everyone. And
Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt. I saw a hand up as Tracy.
I was just going to say too, that down the road, like as we keep this going, it's a great opportunity to encompass all of the businesses, like not just retail, but, you know,
Yep.
banks, lawyers' offices, like everything that makes up the downtown, because I think sometimes they get left out. And yeah,
Agreed.
so I think it would be great.
All right. So that being said, who would care to make a motion then, and who would we like to? Who wants to be involved?
I do.
I'm sorry, we can't say everybody.
Say what?
I did.
We all want
So-
to.
Knew that was gonna happen. I have to be. I have to. Those are the rules. I didn't write. it.
So the other thing that I think that we really need to consider is that we want to find a really good name for this, or like we want a good name, because we want this to be able to be sustainable in the future, so that when people hear this tag or see this tagline or hear this tagline, they know, oh my God, this is what's happening.
Yeah, they know there's money on the table.
Exactly. And they're going to get their butts off the couches and downtown. So, I mean, obviously, we're not going to get to that now, but I think that's something that, you know, the subcommittee, or the subcommittee, which is all of us, is going to have to think about in terms of, you know, like the town and us and everyone, just to make sure that this is going to be like sexy now and sexy moving forward, because we don't want to have to rebrand it moving forward.
Well, I think communication by email will probably be good anyways. That way, if we all see it, at least we all see it.
Mhm.
Because I don't know if we would have to come back. Would we have to come back with any of this, depending on what we call it and all that stuff? Or would we be able to have, what's the word I'm looking for?
Autonomy, like would we have autonomy to go ahead, or would we have to have a motion in place?
Well, we'll make a motion to actually do it and form the committee, but any decisions made after that, what would that, are we able to do that, Dana?
I would suggest that as part of your motion, you actually delegate a
Dana's frozen.
subcommittee
Everybody's frozen.
to-
Yeah, what's up?
however many there may be, to actually plan out the details. And if maybe you wanted to establish a budget, I'm not sure if the BIA and Chamber were actually looking at contributing financially to covering the cost of some of these dollars that the town would be prepared to allocate. You may want to establish that and then just set your subcommittee off to establish the parameters. You're muted, Kev.
Hi there. Sorry, I apologize. I didn't hear a word of that. I froze up, so I don't know what you did there.
So I would just suggest as part of the motion that you delegate a subgroup to actually establish the parameters for the program. And then I also suggested maybe the BIA and Chamber might want to consider actually allocating some funding towards this to cover the cost of some of those dollars.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I know the Chamber doesn't actually have money. I was thinking from a Chamber perspective, just in terms of the marketing and sending it out and doing that prospect of it.
Well, and even just the BIA, like I know in the past, I think as we've done this, we did focus, the BIA was prepared to cover the cost of some of the dollars in the downtown core, you know, specific to the BIA area. So you could just allocate, you know, a nominal amount to actually sponsor the program and the handing out of these dollars at downtown businesses. Doesn't need to be a huge amount. By no means would I be suggesting a large amount, just something nominal. It's a great way to spend some of your marketing and promotion budget.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, what do you guys think?
I like it. My brain, as far as financial side of it goes, I don't know what everybody else is saying. I'm kind of shooting for one of those like $500 sort of deal things, but that's just my brain thinking. Unless I'm spending all of our money and don't know it. But I know we got a lot of money still sitting there, so.
Yeah, and we're halfway through the year, so.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I would
true.
suggest up to 1,000.
Yeah.
If
that's
it's going to
fine.
benefit everybody downtown, there's no reason why.
Yeah,
why we
that's what
couldn't
I
do
was
it.
thinking, Tracy. 1,000.
Actually, yeah, I didn't think about that. I didn't really think in the long term because it'll be a couple month kind of thing, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Even if we look at step 1, step 2, step 3 and apportion it that way for now.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Just allocate a portion to this
Yeah.
round and
So okay, yeah, we can do it that way. So how much just for this round then? Or if we're going to go in 3 groups, what about 5, 5, and 5? I mean, we can make it odd numbers if we want, but
Yeah, I like the
That would
1,500 grand total and break it down 3 by 3s, so $500 per step.
Yeah,
By step 3, just making sure that we do encompass every every type of business downtown.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
I agree. So our financials support that?
Oh, Kevin, you're muted again. Do you have a gremlin in your computer that keeps muting?
Sorry, I just swore. But no, I keep losing connection for some reason. I think everybody's playing Fortnite and it's using up bandwidth. Anyways, what was the amount that was decided? That was the part I missed.
I think 1,500 altogether, 5 at each stage.
Okay. All right.
I think is what we said.
So
And I was just asking if our financials support that.
Have a budget of $9,000 for marketing and promotion. We've only spent $444.
Okay,
Oh,
you.
and well, the pole wraps will go into beautification, so I think we should be fine that way.
yeah, I don't think they're
Okay.
very expensive though. So did we already allocate money for that?
Yeah, I think it was 2,500.
That's right. Yeah.
There, and that'll be under your beautification part of the budget.
No, that's right. Yeah. All right. So
Okay.
kind of sounds like we got our heads around this a little bit. So can I throw it to you, Belinda, since you kind of came up with it and you want to make a motion?
So I'd like to make a motion that we launch an initiative jointly between the town of Prescott, the BIA and the chamber to launch an initiative, which is yet to be named, to bring in a 3-stage in 3 different steps in support of how we're opening up. And we will support each stage or each step to $500 to bring individuals and to local businesses. And we will be working collaboratively with our partners to bring individuals into local businesses. And the initiative will be to allocate Prescott dollars to individuals that come into our local businesses.
All right.
Yes, sorry, that was really
That's all
long. I'm just thinking,
Karen's
there are
going,
so many things I wanted to bring into that. And usually, I write everything down in advance, but I'm not so good at spur of the moment.
That's fine. Does that make sense?
My
to you?
apologies.
Yep. Got it.
Dana, that makes sense to you?
Just one suggestion, maybe note the formation of the subcommittee to plan out
yeah.
the
Okay.
The addition of
promotion details.
right. So with the
And then
addition-
that'll cover any of the details that you didn't capture in the motion.
Perfect.
Okay.
Got
Thank
that,
you.
Karen? Alrighty, so Belinda
This
has
is
made-
exciting. This is going to be a fun one.
It's going to be so much fun, isn't it?
Mhm.
Who wants to second that?
Well,
Tracy will second it. Yeah, she beat you. So all in favor?
I
Hi.
Motion carried. Nice. I'm not going to talk about any other topics because that one will do us for just a little bit.
Okay, I have one.
Okay.
Yay! What?
No, so as part of our farmers market development, we've been talking a lot about getting some entertainers, musicians, buskers, and we're wanted to propose this as a potential marketing budget project for the BIA, that you might want to consider allocating some dollars towards actually hiring entertainers. Unfortunately, there really is no, because we're kind of starting this farmers market from scratch again. So there really hasn't been a formal budget allocated to it. Well, I've got some dollars that I can use through economic development and tourism for some of the marketing and promotions. And we are looking at establishing a reserve fund once we start building up the vendors and the revenues from the fees that come from that. But there's not a lot to work with this year. So we were thinking it might be a great project if the BIA would consider taking on sponsoring some entertainment for some of the Saturdays of the market season. not even necessarily every one, even if we could do, you know, one a month for the duration of the market season, that would be great. Just
Does
a
anyone
thought.
have any idea, like what would an average cost be? Like what's the fee to hire an entertainer?
Honestly, you'll probably be at least a few $100
Yeah.
for the day. Now, depending on how long that's going to be, like I caught the council meeting, by the way, Dane, and I heard my name I don't know how many times, but I was, after that meeting, I sent a message to George Tierney for the folk festival. Do you guys have a date yet when you're thinking of the market starting?
So July 21st is the goal date.
And
If
my
we can,
computer freezes up again.
can you hear me, Kevin?
Yes.
Okay. So July 21st is the goal date. But you know, if we can get our act together and get some real vendor interest, we would possibly look earlier than that. But we did have a lot of discussion. We're going to bring it up under the staff report section.
Yeah.
Also about the antique market and really collaborating on some cross promotions with yourself. And then Justin and I were discussing, I think Justin actually suggested it, that the Folk Fest would be a great source for potential entertainers and really help support, you know, that event development here in Prescott. I think it's a great thing that they've selected Prescott for their home base. And if there's anything that we can do to support that growth, you know, this could be a great opportunity to feature some of their entertainers that might be performing at the actual festival later this summer.
Mm-hmm. I talked to George, and unless you guys want to talk to him prior to this, that's fine too. It doesn't matter to me. But I talked about maybe bringing him in on the next meeting for us, which would be prior to the 21st.
Mm-hmm.
I can ask him if that's enough time to find somebody. Should be. I can guarantee you musicians are itching to play. I'm one of them, and I haven't done a live show in a year and a half. So it's up to you guys, though. If you want, if your schedule wants it to be organized sooner, then it doesn't really matter to me.
Well, knowing the way that Justin works, he's probably already started, you know, some efforts in this regard, and would probably want to try and get, you know, some sort of plan in place. And if George in the folk festival isn't an option, then we could look at, you know, there's tons of performers out there, and it doesn't necessarily just have to be folk festival. That's just one potential source.
Yep. For sure.
Justin, any? Oh, you're muted.
But yet you're not muted.
And yet you're not showing muted.
Yeah.
It's a Tracy problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Still nothing. What okay, we'll let him keep trying. And maybe, yeah, just carry on.
Now?
There, yes.
Yeah. Yay! He's
Thank
back.
you. My headphones died about 10 minutes ago. I don't know if you saw me go into a panic there, and I don't know why these ones didn't connect. No, the only thing I was going to say is that Saturday is the 24th.
Yeah.
Oh, 24th. Thank you. Sorry.
That's the perspective opening date.
There, you just bought 3 days. Okay. Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, I can ask George if that's enough time, or if I can, any of us can talk to him, because obviously he's going to be talking to everybody, because he's doing a good job trying to get this going. So yeah, but you're right, Dana. I agree. I think this is a great idea. We'll chat with him, and we'll figure out who's going to chat with who.
Okay. Any idea what the fees will be for the farmers market?
So we actually had a new bylaw that's just in the process of being approved by council. It went for the first review last night, and so we're looking at $175 for a seasonal permit and $10 for a daily permit. It's, you know, that's still open to discussion. Brockville's, I can tell you, is $270 for a season and $20 for a day. Our rates are in line with Quinte West Market, which is Trenton. You probably know it as Trenton. We're doing research right now, just putting a comparison table together so that, those potential rates may change, but that's kind of where we're sitting at right now, just based on the initial research that we've done. And then we would also open it up to a nonprofit/community group for free. We would allow one of those to come in and set up at the market for free of charge on each market day as well. And then musicians, of course, we would be paying them versus them paying us.
So will it still be the same 3 days or just Saturdays? Because it used to be what, Tuesdays, Fridays and Saturdays, or Thursdays and Saturdays?
So we're looking at Saturday for sure. And then we're also considering a Wednesday evening market.
Oh, cool.
Something that we're
Ooh.
seeing a lot of different towns kind of get into, really trying to capture, those people who just can't get to a Saturday market during those traditional hours. It would be a 9 to 2 market on Saturday, which again, that's pretty prohibitive for someone, especially people with small families and commitments. And we were thinking maybe an evening market would be a good way to capture a whole new demographic. So
I
we were
like that.
thinking like a 4 to 7 on Wednesday evenings.
Perfect.
So we don't have a lot of food trucks around here, but on the Wednesday ones, I think we could really market that to our restaurants.
Well, and okay, sorry. So we are
Okay, because
going. We actually had a
I
whole.
want food trucks more than anything else.
We wanted to have a whole discussion too about the farmers market. Just planning on bringing it up later, but I'm happy to chat about it now. Or if you want to stay on track, Kevin, we can come back to this later.
Sorry.
But we want your feedback on that whole discussion: public versus traditional food vendors. So you're right on the same path we're at, Belinda.
Yeah.
I think Tracy's got her hand up there too.
Yeah.
No, what I was thinking too is that maybe the BIA could have a booth there and maybe give out Prescott dollars or something like that. I don't know. Just a
Good
thought.
idea. We'll chit chat about that when we get further on, but yeah, let's just try and keep on track just because we got a lot to talk about. Probably the topics that are on here could get elaborate quickly. So I know Dana has a lot to talk about. And the funny part, because I saw the council meeting, I know I'm just hearing a lot of similarities. So we'll get there. I lost my agenda. There we go.
Ontario by bike.
All right, 6.2, Ontario by bike. We've discussed this before. I'll make this quick. Basically, just between the BIA hasn't had time to really deal with it. I know Dana's been busy, and I know it wasn't a priority, and that's perfectly fine. I got lucky in talking with Justin about it because apparently Justin likes to ride a bicycle. I personally, my own business, I just got registered with Ontario by Bike, which I believe if Justin is correct, we have 4 businesses currently.
Yeah.
We're now registered, and I know we've talked about the possibility of the museum being a registered spot. So it comes back to the whole trying to be kind of bike friendly thing. And we discussed originally about trying to get the business area registered with them. So Justin and I have chit chatted, but I know Justin has had. Did you look into it a lot more?
So essentially, Dana had gone a long way down the road already. Where we stand right now is that the town would be interested in pursuing the business area, community area designation in general. There's some requirements that are involved there with regards to signage, having a bike-friendly location for people to find along that path, as well as, I think, what you would call a higher-end repair center to the ones that the individual businesses have to get. And then as well, we'd be looking at pursuing that designation for the museum. So we would be pursuing both those 2 things and making the investments where that's necessary. We'd also be interested in looking more towards the idea of whether we could incentivize other businesses to complete the registration. I don't know if you could speak to how difficult or easy that was when you're going through, what exactly you had to do, Kevin?
It's really easy. There's a bunch of questionnaires. There are some guidelines for the business, but I mean, a lot of it's just common sense stuff. It's, you know, can you provide a bathroom to people riding a bike? Maybe provide water. This is one of those things down the road that we'd have to work on collaboratively, but like spots, like trails that you can bike on, or bike routes per se. A spot you can lock up bikes. It's from the business itself. It's not a big requirement. Like it's pretty simple. Can I, as a business that's not a food business, can I recommend to someone cycling another restaurant that they can go to that might have some food that's a little more up their alley? Like I can't imagine a cyclist coming through town wanting to go eat chicken wings. They might, but I don't know. But I'm assuming they're probably going to want to eat a little healthier. And some of our places do provide healthy food. So, and Caterina's is one of the other places that's registered, just so everybody knows. So, I mean, their food there is great. So, I mean, if you're looking for protein and cycling, it's a little more up the healthy alley, but but it's really easy from a business standpoint.
And I mean, it's definitely, I think, one of those really good awareness activities, and a lot of what they are looking for from the businesses seems to be just having cycling awareness, being aware of what the people that are coming through may need. The idea of the friendly community is more focused on meeting some of those basic requirements for the people who may be traveling through there. So based on what I've seen, yes, it is fairly straightforward for the businesses, but I didn't know if Kevin's experience, if he's maybe gone there now. But it does seem to me, yes, that'd be pretty straightforward for the businesses to do it.
It is, yeah. And really, even the business, like the business area, it's not really that difficult. Yeah, there are some bigger things, and obviously those are things that have to be worked on.
The essential requirements seem to come down to just making sure there's wayfinding signage, identifying it as a bike travel area coming through.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw it or not either. Ontario by Bike, they actually have I think it's like 18 by 18 inches, something like that. A little, it's their emblem. So basically, you would put it up in spots that they can bike. But I mean, obviously there'd be some work to do. But if it's something that we are interested in pursuing, it's probably a good time we can start moving forward with it at least. So
just to provide a little bit of an update from a broader kind of community perspective, this is something that, as Justin mentioned, we were working towards pursuing already. And then when Justin started, that really gave us the opportunity to kind of take a more aggressive approach. So he's definitely in the process of working through that designation for the downtown kind of BIA area. And we're working from a broader perspective to support that. We've installed the new bicycle racks this year. And we have ordered, or about to order, 2 permanent bicycle repair stations. I'll send the board links to the information on these. It's actually from the same provider that we purchased the benches from. And so they're permanent bicycle repair stations that we're going to install in 2 locations in the downtown core. And then we've also talked about, Justin had mentioned, as part of the community designation, it's recommended that we purchase approved bicycle repair kits to have on site at these designated bike friendly locations throughout town. So we were also prepared to allocate some municipal budget dollars towards purchasing those bike repair kits for all businesses, as a way of kind of incentivizing them to come on as participating bike friendly businesses and really help reduce any of their overhead costs that they may have to incur by actually signing up. Because these are pretty extensive kits. The kits that they actually expect businesses to have on site are not just like your little repair kits that you can buy at Canadian Tire type of thing. Like these are pretty extensive kits. They're set up to actually make major repairs to someone traveling on a bicycle that is actually not going to have access to that anywhere else besides being lucky enough to come across someone who has one of these kits. So we would be prepared to do that as a bit of an incentive. And I've asked Justin just to really start kind of recruiting additional businesses and also approaching the existing businesses to notify them that we are looking at ordering these kits on their behalf, and then see if they are willing to actually have them on site.
Nice.
So we're fully supportive and are already kind of headed down that road. And we are already on an approved cycling trail, being the Waterfront Trail. We meet that eligibility requirement already.
Yeah. So do you need anything from us?
I think, an actual motion from the BIA to support the ongoing recruitment of the BIA area businesses would be a great way for the BIA to support that, and for us to continue having Justin work towards this.
All right. Works for me. What's everybody else think?
I like the idea.
Love it.
Awesome. Just a quick question, Dana. What is town like? Obviously, we have this kind of stuff, but as far as are we going to get into things as deep as like road markings and stuff like that for bicycle right-of-ways and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera? You have a tendency to see them in a lot of other towns. Obviously, Prescott's it's a little hard to make bike lanes in some of our areas, but I don't know if you guys are thinking that big or not, but.
Yeah, we absolutely are. I'm getting the sense that you're going to see the town proceed with essentially like a transportation accessibility plan, which would take into account those long-term improvements that really need to be looked at to truly make us a pedestrian friendly, a cycling friendly community. It's essentially anything that contributes to active transportation to really help reduce the presence of vehicles on the road and provide people with other transportation methods. Our joint transit project is another great example of active transportation that the municipality is directly involved in. So there's a real appetite for this moving forward. And I think, some of these easier kind of checkbox items are a great way to start that process. But the town, I would say, is fully prepared to support that through more infrastructure related upgrades moving forward.
All right. Cool. Anybody else? Nothing. All right. Would anybody care to make a motion then? Who wants to make a motion? Someone's got to do it. I'm not allowed to.
How do we want to word it? Motion to support the town's endeavor to bring the Ontario bike program to Prescott.
Yeah, maybe the Ontario bike friendly designation to the BI area and its businesses.
I was going to buy my own repair kit, but I'll take one if you're going to be paying for them.
Justin, I think, was the cost not around? Did you get a chance to look into the cost? I think they were about $200 a kit, were they not?
That was
Damn.
pretty much where they're running. Yeah, they're smaller than the ones that would be required of the town, but they're pretty substantial.
Yeah, I remember, I think originally when we started talking about this, when Ben was here, Ben, I think, shared some pictures of them. And I think that's what we figured. They're higher end than just your normal little air pump and a wrench. There's quite a group of stuff with it. And of course, you got some of these cyclists who you have coming through here. You got to remember, like, some of their bikes, they're riding. They're not $100 Walmart bikes.
No, some of these bikes cost as much as your car.
Yeah.
Even more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
do you have some wording there, Karen? Then are you good?
Yeah, no, I don't quite have it. So sorry, Dana, repeat what you had said. Motion to
I would say a
support.
motion to support the bike-friendly Ontario designation of the BIA area and recruitment of member businesses to the program.
Okay, so I will make a motion to support the bike-friendly designation for the community and the BIA area. I don't think I still have the wording right, but
I'll
And
second.
And
I think we were
recruitment
on
of
track.
I
businesses.
feel second.
Yeah,
We're supporting Ontario by bike designation and making us a bike-friendly community.
There we go. That's good enough. Alrighty. So motion is made by Karen. I think Belinda, you want to second that?
Yep. Second.
Sweet. I believe we're all in favor. Yes, maybe.
Aye.
Not? Perfect. Motion is carried. That's awesome. Love it
It
when
was
topics.
really encouraging to see the amount of businesses that have already registered. We were very pleasantly surprised to see that.
How can you
Including
go wrong?
yours.
It doesn't cost any money for us to do it, and we get our store name and address slapped all over their information. Like, I mean, it's free advertising basically. So I couldn't complain. Next, 6.3, medics for events. This is just one of those. I was sitting at the back of the shop and I saw it sitting there and I had a random thought, and I did mention it to Justin briefly. Since we have them here, if by the way, for those of you who don't know what medics for events is, it's just like St. John's Ambulance. They do CPR training, so on and so forth. You can hire them for public events and whatnot. Just a thought about the possibilities of talking with them and providing downtown businesses, either owners and or staff, with some CPR training. I personally don't have it. I'm actually, regardless, I'm thinking of doing it regardless, because we do have more elderly people in the area. Wouldn't hurt to have it. It's only a random thought, but I'm just throwing it out there. If anybody has any thoughts on the topic, by all means, chime in. It's just something I kind of popped in my head.
It would be good to have not just like a lot of the employees in a more popular area to have some sort of standard CPR and standard first aid and CPR. I forget the device, what it's called, an AED?
Yeah, defibrillator.
Defibrillators. Where can you get them? I'm trained on them, and so is my daughter.
I have no idea. I'm sure if you ask them, they'll tell you. I know they're not cheap.
Okay.
You're in the 4 digits from my understanding, but
Yikes. Okay.
but that's my only understanding of that part of it, anyways. Anybody else? We don't have to do it. It's just something I'm throwing out there.
I think it would be good to offer it, hopefully low cost. The larger the group, the less expensive it is.
Yeah, and there is a cost. Have you talked? It was Tyler, I think. Justin, have you talked with Tyler?
I haven't had a chance to talk to him specifically about pricing. Yeah.
Yeah, you're around. I think he told me, I'd have to go back through my messages. It's not cheap. I think you're like at least around $100 a person. So it's one of those things that it could be a lot of money. Unless there was some sort of splitting of costs or stuff like that. But would the possibilities of even seeing if there's interest maybe be of order first, obviously before we do any other decision, make sure there's actually interest?
I think we should probably get some sort of pricing before we do that, though, just so somebody might be interested at $10 and not
Yeah,
$125.
exactly.
So
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, so if we get that number from even just a general number, because until he knows the scale, I doubt he'd be able to give us a really specific
Yeah.
one. But we should get a general number from him and then reach out there.
I would assume he probably has a base number that he could take in one course. So I'm
Yes.
sure he probably could easily give you a price, and maybe, once you get a sense of the pricing, if we feel and you break it down per business, you feel it's potentially still high, maybe that's where the BIA could come in and sponsor a portion of it to get that cost down, right?
Yeah. I just think it's a good thing to have now, especially if you're going to have cyclists coming through town and cyclists fall in front of your shop and hurt themselves. You can help them. But is there a number, like, say, what would I say to them, like 10 people, or just say what's an average class size? And actually, that's.
I'd be thinking it'd be best to look at what his standard class size is and what that price would be. And if I don't know, especially right now, I know that he's operating classes, that they're a allowable activity, but I imagine they're still going on with quite a bit of social distancing. So I don't know whether that amount is 6 people right now or what would be happening. But if we got an idea of what that viable class size was and the cost, then.
Okay. Well, I have no problem looking into it and getting back next meeting. But obviously it's not something we need to rush to do by any means. So.
And if we had the idea of what it cost and whether the BIA was willing to possibly support some of those costs before we sought out participation, then we might get a more accurate number and a little more sustained interest.
Yep. No, as I said, just something I was putting out there. So I have no problem at least looking into fees and getting back next meeting. I don't know if you need a motion for that or not, but it's just an information finding journey. So I will do that. Sound good, everybody?
Yep.
Yep.
It's funny watching people's heads nod, but they're not actually looking at the computer. Kind of get one of those. Get that from my girlfriend too. I'm listening to you. All right, we'll move on to the next topic. 6.4, accessibility. And just for clarity, that is for any handicapped people, etc. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it came up in town meeting maybe about 2 months ago, maybe, Dana? I don't know if you recall it. But it's just one of those topics that town seems interested in doing something, and there is accessibility issues with the main street. Dana, I don't know, has town talked any more about it since it came up in that one council meeting?
Not as far as broader programs. We haven't really had a lot of discussion about that, other than, really what can we support through our CIP program. But Justin was inspired just through your agenda topic of accessibility and started to come up with some really fantastic options that I think would be really viable for businesses and just downtown accessibility in general. So if you're okay with maybe passing over to Kevin to enlighten us, that'd be great, Kevin.
Sure, Justin.
Can I share screen here, Dana?
Yeah, I'll make you co-host.
Oh, he's got pictures.
So I came across, I think past BIAs have kind of looked into this particular project as well, but I came across this organization called the Stopgap Foundation. And what it is an accessibility organization that builds these small basic ramps to help with entrance issues, especially in older downtowns. So they've done them across Canada and the United States. It is a charitable organization. I believe previously they were more focused on trying to develop local organizations that would build the ramps. But they do seem to be in the position right now where they are selling them. So they're relatively low cost, $250 to $550. And you can see some of the photos here. They take the measurements, you send them to them, they get built. It seems pretty straightforward, pictures of both sides. They are movable. They have 4 standard colors.
Plus custom.
Plus custom. But they're this really basic, easy thing. And I think there would be some benefits to those in that you wouldn't be looking at fixed structures that would require permitting and large costs. They would serve the needs, and they do in other communities. I believe I saw that Almont uses them in their downtown and did a BIA-led project about that. They would heighten the accessibility. There would be an opportunity, if it was a large-scale project, to possibly look at incorporating downtown and Prescott Shop Local branding in, and as well as the businesses branding. Again, those aren't necessarily things that we know that they are willing to do, but it could be a fairly straightforward and easy solution to at least some of the accessibility issues entering some of those older buildings that I know you and I, Kevin, talked about, how some of them have very strange steps.
And we could just buy them in stock colors and add our own branding on our end through our local signage company. So that those are easy fixes. But they're very light. I don't know if you saw from the one picture, they've just got like rope handles on the side. You literally pick it up and
put it down at 10 a.m. and pick it up at 6, and it wouldn't be cluttering. It wouldn't be taking up extra sidewalk space. And it sort of develops a bit of cohesive branding if a number of businesses get on board with it.
Are they a kind of one size fits all sort of thing, Justin, or?
So basically what you do is, if you're purchasing from them, you take a measurement on each side of the step that you're doing, and then you take photographs of each side so they know any little quirks that are in there. And then they build them basically to spec from that. And they are fairly straightforward, basic. It basically looks like about 3 pieces of wood. But they are built to measure to the step.
And that's not to say if there was a local contractor or something, like, you know, they are a very basic design. We wouldn't even necessarily have to order them, say, through a company. It could be a great local project too.
So my only concern is, how do they lock them down for the day so they don't get stolen?
To my knowledge, there is no secure mechanism. We could definitely reach out to them and see if they have run into that with issues with theft. But I think as long as you're taking them in at the end of the day, someone's got to be pretty brazen to grab one of those and go run down the street with
conspicuous to walk down the street with that.
That's my only concern, right? It's just, you know, they kind of pick them up and leave.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure out why he would steal one, and then I had all these crazy things run through my head. I'm like, oh yeah, I'd see why he'd steal one.
Yeah.
Go
I
jump.
love the idea though.
Yeah, that's an interesting idea. I know town has discussed, is there any issues as far as bylaws go with having these?
We would definitely want to vet them. This is just kind of our initial, you know, it's just Justin and myself that have looked at this point. So we would take it to operations for sure. get their opinion on it. But, you know, at this point, if it's something that the BIA endorsed, then we would kind of take it to that level and do some more of that internal consultation.
Is there not funding for this?
Oh, there's tons of accessibility funding opportunities. If I'm sure that we could look into
Yeah.
those options as well. But I can also consult Matthew to see what might be available from municipal perspective. There are some very specific funding sources that we receive as a municipality that are meant to be allocated to things such as this. So there could be a pot of money sitting there.
No, I mean, if someone else would pay for it, that'd be ideal, but nonetheless. What's everybody think about this? I think this is actually pretty great. Thanks for kind of finding that information out, Justin.
So Dana and Justin, I don't know what the requirements are. What are the requirements from the town's perspective in terms of a business doing something like this?
We would reach out to Sean and get his insight. As long as it's not permanent construction, they're not
Okay.
getting into like a building permit requirement. But of course, like I mentioned, we would do that internal consultation, have Sean, our chief building official, inspect them, as well as the operations department, just to make sure that they aren't going to create any hindrances. And then once they give the go ahead, then we could proceed from there. And these would be, you know, we would envision these things. I personally would think these are more of a seasonal spring to fall. I would not think these are meant for winter use whatsoever. I don't believe
Yeah.
that they're rated, not when you're getting into potential slip and fall issues. I think at that point,
Yeah.
and we definitely have sidewalk snow clearing requirements that they would hinder. So they really wouldn't be a winter option. It would really just be more of like a spring to fall option, I would speculate.
Yeah, that would be my only concern, is just like the liability issues to the business.
Yeah, and again, that's the thing. You've got to play devil's advocate, right? You look at the ramps, there's a
Agreed.
raised edge.
Agreed.
Someone could easily be walking by and trip on the ramp. And then you've got the business, you know, dealing with a liability suit. So yes, very, you know, with every benefit, I'm sure comes
Right.
a downside, and it's something that we have to consider, especially if it is a BIA recommended led thing. And for sure, from a town perspective, that's why we would certainly have to vet them first to make sure there's something the town is prepared to endorse.
But completely love the idea.
I think, well, it could almost be a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. But I mean, if you've seen most of the storefronts downtown, most of them are raised up, probably, you know, good 4 to 6 inches. So let's honestly, from a business standpoint, I mean, you're at a point of liability right there already. If somebody by chance trips and falls on that step that's there, yeah, exactly. For starters, the business is going to be the first one that gets looked at, and then the landowner. And because it's been a topic, even town can be in a liable position. So it's you're probably safer with it there than not, but that's the town would have to probably find out a little more about that. But I don't know, if everybody thinks that this is a good idea, though, we can definitely make a motion to support something and move forward a little bit.
Maybe just some further investigation. And I would suggest consulting if Almont isn't possibly a municipality that has implemented it, maybe reaching out to them and getting some insight from a town that's done it, and seeing, you know, who was the lead? Was it business led, BIA, town led? Were there any pitfalls that we should be mindful of before we go down that road?
Agreed.
Okay. Should we at least do you want to make a motion to at least pursue it and find out some information?
Couldn't hurt to pass a motion, just kind of delegating the coordinator to investigate portable ramp options further and report back.
There you go. That's a good one. Who cares to make the motion? Oh, Pearl's gonna make the motion. Hi, Pearl.
Hey, Kevin, I'll make the motion. I think it's a great idea. Even to have them available for people,
Yeah.
even if they can't stay outside all the time, at least even if they have them inside their door, then they can put them out so that people can easily come in.
Well, that's what we were thinking too. You know, does it even have to be something that's out there 24/7? And something else I did want to mention is Walker House is is looking at potential programs to really improve accessibility and access for seniors in the downtown. And they may have some funding that could be allocated to initiatives. And it's not even necessarily a ramp. It can be as simple as a permanent curbside pickup option with a very easy to read, large font phone number for, you know, the aging population to, you know, still be able to support the downtown businesses, even if they can't necessarily access them physically. Call buttons are another option that a lot of businesses are exploring for people to be able to gain access, and a call button in combination with a little portable ramp could address those accessibilities very easily for businesses.
Mhm.
Like it. All right. So yeah. So we have the motion made, and the motion basically is to have Justin pursue looking into some information in regards to the accessibility ramps. That probably wasn't the original words, but that's where I'm going with. Motion has been made by Pearl. Anybody care to second that?
I'll
I will.
second.
Alrighty. Sorry, who the heck just said that?
3 of us.
I'll put Jeannie down.
Right, 3 of us.
I'll put Jeannie down as
All
the
right. Jeannie, you seconded it.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
I
Motion is carried. Just one quick thing under that topic. I'm only going to bring it up right now. It's because it's technically out of our area, but Jeannie brought it up about the possibilities of accessible swings. I'm just kind of throwing that out to staff just to put something up there if it comes up again. I know you can get swings and stuff designed for wheelchairs and whatnot, but it was something she mentioned to me a couple of weeks ago in an email. And technically it's out of our area, but I just wanted to put it out there because I know it's been being looked at with the beach and whatnot. So
on that regard, there is an accessibility
disappeared.
report
nope,
that's
there we
going to
go.
be coming to council. So those type of broader ideas could be potential great ideas for some town related accessibility options. You know, maybe not necessarily BIA, but it would be some great feedback to
Yeah.
provide.
No, it was a great suggestion just because I knew stuff was being looked at with Kelly's Bay and whatnot. So anyways. Okay, so anything else under that? I don't think so for now. Getting all kinds of stuff done. All right, we're going to move on to 6.5. Follow up on Canadian flag installation topic. I guess I can send that over to Justin maybe.
So that one, I actually ended up taking a bit of a lead on that one because Justin was very busy dealing with the AGM setup.
Somebody's breaking my internet.
Can you hear me, Kev? He's frozen.
Hi, I'm back.
Okay, so I ended up
Am I
taking the
frozen
lead
today?
on Canada Day flag investigations just because Justin was very busy dealing with the AGM organization. And so it looks like based on we've just done a bit of a cost analysis, and so we're recommending essentially for a 3x5 flag with a bracket, you would be looking at approximately $110 per storefront.
Damn.
Yes, and something else that really needs to be considered here is you're only, especially in that downtown wind tunnel, you're going to be very lucky to get 6 to 8 weeks of life out of a flag. I had a conversation with Bob Dixon, our operations department manager, who's also very familiar with keeping town flags replaced and looking their best. And they replace those flags 3 to 4 times a season. A year you're getting, and I'm thinking from like a spring to fall season, if you would be getting into a year-round thing, this would be extremely expensive. So I think at minimum you're looking at 2 flags. And we reached out to a sign company to get some pricing just for the actual installation of the bracket itself and the flag. And cost for that is about $80 per storefront. Plus you would have your ongoing replacement cost as the flags wear and tear. They would have to be replaced at least 2 to 3 times a year. So you'd be looking at about $15 a flag to replace them. And I would strongly recommend, if this is something the BIA wants to pursue, that you would almost have to look at contracting a sign company to do this. I don't believe our operations department would have the capacity to take this on. As much as it is a great project, it's very labor intensive and very cost prohibitive. So total annual cost estimate per business is 250 to 310. That's a conservative estimate at 2 flags and doesn't include the ongoing flag replacement cost. And this assumes that flags are only flown spring to fall. And there's some other considerations that I think you really need to look at as well, that kind of go above and beyond the flags and the cost and the labor. Is, there's potential liability concerns. If we're installing brackets onto privately owned properties, there's potential brick and mortar damage that then has to be fixed. We did a scan, Justin did a scan of the downtown and properties as they sit today, and actually observed a lot of them have flag brackets, which started to, we started to speculate at that point, has this program been tried and then not maintained in the past? So there, and on a more positive note, there are some existing flag brackets that, so I don't think we would have to necessarily install them on every business. But I think it's a big project, and there are also concerns from a pedestrian vehicular safety standpoint that it could create a lot of visual clutter. We already have a significant amount of banners in the downtown. We have hanging baskets, and also just our highway traffic signage that of course has to take precedence. And we're also doing pole wraps at all the intersections. So that's a whole other element of signage that we're going to be adding. And the addition of billowing flags on all commercial properties in the downtown definitely creates some concern from a broader operations public safety standpoint. So I would just, strongly advise that you give maybe a little bit more consideration to this. And I think at the end of the day, the ultimate consideration is, will the impact of these flags really achieve what you're hoping to in attracting additional consumers, visitors, and businesses to the downtown core? I think the BIA's already done a beautiful job with the banners that they have installed. We could incorporate more of those Canada flag banners within the current layout, because we've ordered enough to cover every pole. Another alternative that you could consider is more of a permanent projecting sign for the businesses that would have a metal Canada flag, which again, wouldn't have to be replaced 2 to 3 times a year because it's not material. You're not going to get that pretty flag billowing effect, but it's also an option that could be switched out seasonally with some different designs. So just food for thought, but I would say at bare minimum, you're looking at least $250 per storefront, and that's with only one flag.
So
And that's it.
no on that topic.
No, nay,
I
nay,
can see everybody shaking their heads.
nay, nay.
And which is too bad, but you want to know what the funny part is? And Dana, you mentioned about the clutter. I was where was I a couple weeks ago? I think it might have been Brighton. I was heading back from Port Hope down Highway 2. And to be honest, I've actually never driven that route before. And I came into Brighton, and I'm not going to say every store had one, but they actually had them measured out on the buildings. Every so much a Canadian flag. And oh my Lord, at first you're like, wow, look at that. But then you look at it again and go, that's way too much. And I realized it then, and then that's why I wanted to see what everybody else thought. And as soon as you said the dollar figures, I'm like, oh my Lord, but yeah, it's a lot. It really is a lot. So, but maybe there's some other options for things. Since we're mentioning the Canada thing, does the town have anything planned for Canada Day?
They are definitely working as part of our emergency control group and broader consultation with health unit. It's a big topic of conversation right now. No official decision at this point, but it's definitely something that our council and staff are in discussion about. So hopefully have an update within the next week or two at most, so that we can plan accordingly if it is something that's going to move forward.
Alrighty. So I think we're all in agreement. We'll just put that topic to bed.
Agreed.
Agreed.
Fair enough. 6.6. We've left a section on here for Justin. I don't know how much he got left to tell us, but just some digital Main Street update stuff.
I think Dana has a quick update first, and then I have a quick one.
Yeah,
right.
just quickly, we've got a report that we're preparing for the June 21st meeting of council. We'll be making a recommendation that they support application for a second digital Main Street coordinator to work in tandem with Justin on the second round of digital Main Street program that's going to be coming out. And we're also hopeful that there's going to be a grant option for businesses. And of course, we would support the ongoing implementation of that program through a funding application. So I don't foresee council not approving it. I think it's been a very successful program, and the feedback and that we're receiving and that council has received through the public, as well as the great feedback provided by the BIA, which is much appreciated. It's been a hugely successful program. So I'm quite sure council will fully endorse it. And then at that point, we'll be proceeding with a formal application for round 3. And then Justin's got an update, just more of a general update on some of his activities.
Really, the only update I have digital Main Street wise is that I believe now every grant receiving business has submitted their final reports. So they are all cleared up and ready to go. Shop Here is continuing. So the website building program will continue along with the DSS grant program. So people will still be able to access that as well. There's no word on whether or not Future Proof is continuing at this point, but hopefully it will as well. But it's really, this round has started coming to its peaceful conclusion, I believe.
Right. But they're gonna do another one, which I don't think we weren't expecting that. I don't think, right?
I think it sort of seemed like they wanted to, and they've now received this additional funding. This funding comes from the province. There was also a significant amount of funding in the federal budget to move the program nationally. So hopefully it's something that carries on for a long time to come.
Nice. That's great. Wow. Look forward to seeing what happens with that going forward. That'd be great. Awesome. So that ties that up. Thank you very much, Justin, too, for all your work, and Dana. Both of you have done a lot of work on this. And judging from any of the business owners I've talked with that have used it, including myself, I mean, it's probably one of the best aids I've ever seen to help a business out. Like, it's just great. Yeah, thank you.
Well, and thank you for Kevin, but really no credit whatsoever goes to me aside from getting, the initial funding to support this program. Justin has done a stellar job with really implementing this and delivering this program to our business community. I can also tell you, based on feedback from other neighboring areas, that it seems like our South Grenville team, of course, all attributed to Justin's work, that we're making some real impacts that I don't think businesses are seeing in some of the other participating communities. So I think we've really gone, Justin's done an amazing job of going above and beyond in delivering this program to our South Grenville business community. And we couldn't be more excited about the impacts that we're seeing. And I think that would definitely be demonstrated from the hiring of Justin is under the permanent position of business development officer. And of course, very excited to support this program on an ongoing basis with an additional squad member so we can deliver this to even more businesses moving forward.
Yeah, no, perfect. Again, thank you.
That's awesome.
All righty, that's going to move us into our next item, which is going to be 6.7. If I could get somebody to make a motion to move into a closed session. Dogs don't count.
I'll make a motion that we move to an in-camera session.
Alrighty, can I get someone to second that?
I'll second it.
Second by